Coming at you live from my home studio, beautiful La Puente, California. This is the All Dodgers Podcast. What is going on, Clinton Nation? Happy to see you people here. I got me in my ear. It's throwing me off right now, but it's going to be a special night. Our friend Doug McKain is joining the show. The boys are back together. He'll be joining in a little bit. Traffic got my guy on the way back from whatever the hell it was he was doing. But we will be talking about the latest with Juan Soto. Yes, there are contracts out there. Yes, there's the whole thing about the Dodgers not apparently going to that $700 million plateau, which I fully agree with. I think that's the right call. And just some overall hot stove stuff as we head into the winter meetings this weekend. So all that and more on another edition of All Dodgers Live. Let's throw to this guy right here. Let's throw to this screen. Let's throw to the chat in the house. What is going on, party people? Happy Friday to you. Appreciate you hanging out and waiting for the stream to start a little bit later. This is the fun. This is the arts and crafts of doing this stuff and trying to do a live show. Sometimes things become things. But Doug will be joining us eventually. If you're interested in who I am Clint. Find me as Real FRG on the social media platforms. I'm a longtime baseball writer. I'm a longtime sports editor. I've been covering the Dodgers here for many, many years on the YouTube machine, and now I do it on my own channel. So consider hitting that subscribe button. We did pass the 8,500 subscriber plateau here on YouTube, so thank you guys so damn much for helping us get there. Next, let's go to 9K, and after that, let's go to 10K, and after that, maybe like 4 or 5 billion, something like that. But hop into the chat. You know, we'll hang out. We have a whole night ahead of us, gang. Pull up a beer, pull up a chair, and let's talk Dodger baseball. First, we will hang out in the chat a little bit. Of course, people excited to have the boys back together. It's been a while since DMAC and I have done a show for a hot minute, but it was about time. It's about time before the guy heads out to the MLB Winter Meetings. Michelada Poppy in the chat saying, after this kind of reunion, I think a Shohei and Teoscar reunion is inevitable. I guess we can throw some seeds. We don't have seeds. I'm hoping there won't be shoeies because I don't think he'd have enough time to set up for shoeies. But you never know. You never know. Should be a fun time. Should be a special time here on the Friday edition of the show. Diane says, hit that smash that like button, hit the subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Beer Sama in the chat. Appreciate you guys hanging out. I guess we could jump right into the latest news and updates and all that kind of stuff if we're talking about Juan Soto. Actually, to get it out of the way, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you guys about BetOnline, because BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch games as they happen, with the largest selection of odds on everything from the football, the NBA, the college basketball, NHL, UFC, and so on. BetOnline has it all. Head to BetOnline online today. Don't forget to use our promo code BELIEVE, that is BLEAV, for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here, and the show starts now. And we got to look at this latest with Juan Soto. Eventually, Doug will join us. We'll talk about this as well. But on the Juan Soto sweepstakes, the numbers are getting insane. We got 14 years out there. We got $700 million on the table from multiple teams, reportedly. John Heyman's been in the mix on this. Of course, Mark Feinsand, Ken Rosenthal, Jeff Passan, all of these people talking about the Juan Soto sweepstakes. $700 million, some people saying it could go as high as $750, which, my God. That's a lot of money for Juan Soto. If you're talking about Juan Soto versus Shohei Ohtani, like Shohei Ohtani is a once-in-a-generation, once-in-a-lifetime type of player, once in the history of baseball or twice in the history of baseball type of player. He can hit, he can pitch, he's an ace, he's your leadoff guy, he's your cleanup hitter, he's whatever you need him to be. Shohei Ohtani does something nobody else can do. He plays both sides of the ball, or at least he can throw it and he can hit it. As we're somebody like Juan Soto, we know the Soto stuff mainly is in that he cannot play defense, or his defense is a bit of a struggle at times. The base running leaves a lot to be desired. Maybe some, I wouldn't say head case stuff in there. We don't know what he would be like playing with the Dodgers, but he's somebody who could stand to get a lot better playing with the Dodgers, playing better defense, having better, positional or defensive alignment, all that kind of stuff. Still, that said, if we're talking about $700 million, going to Juan Soto, you guys have been watching all off season long. I've been one of those guys that is trying to force myself to buy in on Juan Soto talk, force myself to to sell myself in, Juan Soto on the Dodgers, but I still would rather see them spend more money or diversify that money in different places. We want Teoscar Hernandez back, and I would say, as good as Juan Soto is, I don't imagine the Dodgers also ponying up the dough to bring back Teoscar Hernandez if they were to sign Juan Soto. But there's also Blake Trinan. We know he wants to be back. We'll talk about him more later. There's opportunities for other players out there. I think there's a report out there that they would like to have an extra bench bat, maybe a lefty off of the bench, because right now the team is a lot more right-handed dominant. When you're looking at position player side of the ledger. So if you add one more piece, some folks are trying to call for a return of Jock Peterson. Sure, you can throw that money that way. I don't want Jock Peterson because he didn't want to stay here in LA the first time to be a bench or platoon piece, and he's basically unplayable in the outfield at this point in his career. But still, there's a Blake Trinan. Like I said, there's other pitching, whatever it is, you can make $600 million, $500 million go a lot further than on one player. And that's where I'm at right there. But let's get back into the news of it again. $700 million. The report is 4 of the 5 teams that have been connected. Of course, that's Blue Jays, Yankees, Mets, and the Red Sox all are reportedly, according to multiple sources, in that $700 million range. Dodgers are the one team amongst the 5 teams that have made it to the second round of voting, or whatever the hell we want to call it. Dodgers not in at that price point. And John Heyman was the guy before he blew up on WFAN today. He was the guy, it was a beautiful meltdown. Guys, check it out if you have not listened to John Heyman's meltdown on radio today. But he's the guy who says the Dodgers aren't at that route or are at that kind of commitment, that kind of money. Maybe the Dodgers, though, if they're still in on this, maybe the Dodgers are doing that thing they do where we're looking at shorter term deal, higher AAV, the 14 years thing. If we're throwing out, some reports have the years at 14 years of Juan Soto. Yes, he's young. He's 26 right now, but that's a lot. That's just a lot of commitment to somebody who's only going to get worse on defense as he ages. So he's just not a $700 million player. That's where it's at. Let's find some more comments in here on this. Bob Student 10 saying John Heyman is all gas. He's also all pee. I met him, was covering a Dodger game at Camelback a couple years ago, and he goes to the bathroom a lot, does my guy, John Heyman. We'll have a little, we'll leave it at that one, we'll say. Steve A says 600 max on Soto or for Soto or move on, but 600 over how many years? Because 600 over 10, over 12, if we're saying 600 over 14, again, I'm out. 600 over 12, it's such a long time to be tied to this guy. And yeah, the bat will probably play. The bat will probably profile most of that time that he's in Dodger blue. But a big difference is in this, and assuming deferrals and all this, the big difference between what Juan Soto would cost the team, $600, $700 million wise versus what Shohei does. Shohei is a moneymaker. He literally helps the Dodgers bring in more money to offset the payment. And as, internationally renowned and popular as Juan Soto is, he doesn't have the draw, he doesn't have the appeal that Shohei Ohtani does. He doesn't make the same kind of money in endorsements or from other countries like Shohei Ohtani does, or even, Yoshi Yamamoto. So that's another big factor for me, where it's more of a true $600 million. Just to set it, let's say, Dodgers are in that $600 million range, and it's whatever, over 10 years, over 12 years, and assuming some opt-outs as well, you're paying a lot of that. And you still have Yamamoto, you still have Shohei in the books, you're still going to have Mookie Betts in the books. Still a lot of money. Donnie Boy says Shohei Ohtani paid for all those renovations going on at Dodger Stadium right now, and I like that one. We'll give that one a clap. Cole says 600 over 6. Listen, I'll tell you what, I'll take that deal. No problem whatsoever. If we're looking at some of the other teams in the mix on Ohtani, on Ohtani's friend, Shohei's friend, Soto, distracted, obviously. You guys understand I'd be distracted when I'm waiting for a guest, and I'm the guy who has to push all the buttons and talk and pay attention to what you're doing. Sometimes it can get overwhelming. So let's have a drink about it. It is Friday night, That's a lot of fun. Let's read this one first. Legacy Reaper says, players getting delusional because Ohtani got a $700 million deal. $400 for 7 is what Soto is worth. I've been talking about this. I've been harping on this a little bit more this week. Maybe the last week and a half. But Shohei Ohtani ruined free agency, and I'm happy. I'm happy he's a Dodger. But when you're talking about this kind of money, players thinking that they can go out and get $700 million. Before that, the extension, the Tatis extension was 14 and 4. I forgot what it was, like 425, 450 or something like that. Before that, Mike Trout's extension was somewhere in the 460 range. You don't sign free agent deals, but you don't sign deals above that. Deals didn't exist before Ohtani above, the $500 million range. And now all of a sudden, you're like, hey, you got Scott Boras being like, yeah, whatever, F it, I'll let it eat. I'm gonna get just. It doesn't hurt to ask, I guess, in this economy right now. But if we're talking about the teams in, y'all know I've maintained all offseason that the Mets are the team to kind of. I would be shocked if he doesn't end up being a Met, but I would say I've backed down a little bit on that because of. Well, the Blue Jays apparently really want this dude, and we talked about this on Dodgers territory yesterday. They want a superstar. They need a superstar kind of player. They thought they had it in Shohei Ohtani last winter. They did not. Of course, ultimately end up getting the man. He was not on that plane. But the competitive window, they have some things going against them, the Blue Jays. The competitive window is closing because they didn't sign, and this is something, more of the pundits are talking about today, that competitive window is closing. They have not signed Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to an extension. Bo Bichette's going to be a free agent soon enough. There's just not enough pieces there that if I'm Juan Soto and I can go get the bag anywhere and I have a chance to win in L.A., or both of the New York teams, and Toronto's coming at me with 14 and whatever it is, 750, I'd be like, okay, hold on. When is this team going to make the postseason, and how consistently can this team make the postseason? And beyond that, what else are they going to be able to do in free agency for the next decade if I eat up that much money? So that's working against the Blue Jays. Generally, them being in Canada has got to be working against the Blue Jays. They need a win. I don't think it's going to be Shohei Ohtani. Right now, it's the two New York teams. I think the Yankees are more in it than I personally expected. I'll still say it's hard to not see Steve Cohen and those Mets going all the way in, to have that superstar tandem at the top with him and Francisco Lindor. It would be a lot of fun. It would be good for baseball for those two teams to be playing, those two players to be playing together on that team. But this is where we're at. The dark horse candidate is the Dodgers because they offer something else that a lot of teams don't offer. One, they have Shohei Ohtani, they have Mookie Betts, they have stability, they have longevity, and everybody in the fucking world knows they're going all in on winning in this window, in this golden era of Dodger baseball that Andrew Friedman called it, or has been calling it since signing Shohei Ohtani last year. So the question I have for everybody is do we think we get this Soto? Listen, I keep mixing up the Soto, Shohei. There's too many S's in baseball. Can we just back it down a little bit? Do we get the Soto announcement before the winter meetings kick off? Of course, winter meetings start on Sunday. They really kick off in earnest on Monday. Do we see a signing happen before? Do we see an announcement, a Soto announcement happen before? More so, do we see a freaking Teoscar Hernandez announcement happened before? Let's dive into the comments here a little bit. Jack says Soto should not get more than $45 to $50 million AAV. The only reason $700 million is being thrown out there is because those numbers match a 14-year contract. That's fair. I did not do the math. You guys know me. Jeff Snyder will tell you as well. Not a big-time math guy, but still, like, we're talking about the 14-year commitment. That takes him into age 40. That much money, that much commitment and pain, you don't know if they're front loading the contract, however the contract is structured, if whoever signs him does the Dodger thing where it's deferred and where there's a signing bonus to kind of lower that AAV. He's still going to be like just gobs of money. And like, how do you make a $40 million player? How do you make a $45 million a year player? Ideally, it's more of a, complete baseball player. That's what I would like to see. But that's not what Juan Soto is. Generational hitter, phenomenal hitter, absolutely. Could be a Dodger, probably won't be a Dodger. I'll pause right here, and then we'll get back into more comments as we wait for DMAC to find his way home, if he knows how to. I want to tell you guys about our Patreon. If you guys are looking for a different way to support the show, support independent Dodgers coverage, because I am a show that is literally just me here in my room. Nobody tells me what to say or do outside of you guys, honestly. But I have no backing. There's nothing. This is just a show hosted by some random dude. So if you're looking for a different way to support what we're doing here, check out patreon.com/realfrg or the join button here on the YouTube screen to join YouTube members. But for $5 a month, you get access to our Discord server, which I think is something that's a pretty dang cool feature. A lot of people have also enjoyed the feature as well. Beyond that, again, you get the joy of having supported independent coverage here on the internet. So check it out if you want. If not, cool. Links are in the description. The best way to, of course, support the show, though, is with the subscribe button. Do it. We're trying to get to 9,000 subs now, just past 8,500. We thank you for it. Thank you for it a million times over. But I do see there is a special man. He made it home just in time. So, guys, we're going to ramp up that applause button for my friend, Doug McKain. There it is. You can't cheat on this platform, unfortunately. You're all green screen, but you're looking good, bud. How you doing, man?
Hey, this is the lime green monster. You know what I'm saying? Got the green screen. Got the hat. You know what I'm saying? The parade cap. Hey, sorry I'm late. Crazy time getting home. But, hey, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Clint, man. Hey, can never thank you enough. Help me out getting this Dodger world, really. And, hey, there's nothing better than talking Dodger baseball. You, my man.
Hey, man, we haven't done it in a hot minute. I think since a little bit before All-Star game. So we got a lot to catch up on here. Obviously, you had a lot going on. Let's take a minute here to talk about you during the show. People wondering during the postseason, where's DMAC at? Where's DMAC at? Hey, this guy went through hell, went to hell and back with that back, carrying things there since my unceremonious departure over there, carrying the team. But you're good now. You're on your hind legs. You love to see it, man. How you feeling, bud?
Yeah, man, I went full Dodgers pitcher mode, man. Spent some time on the IL, had a little back injury there. It was definitely rough, but the commenters, people hit me up, some players hit me up, people with the Dodgers hit me up, make it feel real special. And thankfully, I got back just in time for this World Series run. It was kind of a miracle, and yeah, didn't miss too many shows, but yeah, man, I mean, could have been a lot worse, to put it that way. But yeah, I'm back 100% ready to go. And, man, it's off-season, man. It's been a short off-season so far. It's like World Series, boom, free agency, boom. It's like almost the first of the year. It's like before you know it, we're going to be talking Tokyo. Yeah, you're going to be talking spring training. You're going to be talking Tokyo. And you're going to be having to board a flight for a very, very long time, I would assume. Francisco Diaz, 999 Super Chat. Thank you much. He says the GOATs of Dodger media back together. But yes, what are our thoughts about going Liberty
what? Oh, library quiet. Sorry, library quiet on the Teoscar front ever since Vassay and the Dodgers said he was close to a contract. Hold on, but first, we said I told you we're going to do something a little bit special for the boys getting back together. And if you look up there in that top upper right-hand corner of the screen, guys, it's not all Dodgers anymore. That's right. It's a blue heaven. This is a blue heaven for at least a little bit. Probably going to get a text or some sort of cease and desist on that one, even though I'm pretty sure I co-own the name of that. But, hey, Teoscar Hernandez, man, people are sitting here. Let's move forward. We're waiting on Teoscar Hernandez news. We had, as the comment says, Francisco said, Vassay goes on AM 570 a couple days ago, says that, quote, just a few details were remaining. We're standing between a reunion, between that contract, ideally multi-year contract with the Dodgers, and Teoscar Hernandez. What are you hearing? What are you feeling about Teo? It feels like we're on the 10-yard line, but again, just some hiccups.
Yeah, I think with Teoscar Hernandez, he made it super clear early on. I mean, I don't think I've seen a player that really put himself in a position to go out there and sign a nice bag with another team. You sign a 1-year prove-it deal with the Dodgers, and it went better than he could have ever expected. He goes out there, makes the All-Star team, wins a home run derby, was clutch throughout the postseason, had the emotional speech at the Dodgers parade, has talked about how he wants to be back in LA. He showed all his cards. He wants to be a Dodger. I think if you're the Dodgers, your plan A is, okay, do we pursue Juan Soto? And yes, they could get both of them. Yes, that's possible. It's also unlikely because wherever Juan Soto goes, another desperate team could throw some more money at Teoscar Hernandez. What I heard kind of after the David Vassay comments, just talking to some people around, that was just a tiny bit premature on the contract being finalized and getting close to a contract type of thing. And look, it kind of makes a lot of sense because the way the Dodgers, you know how they do business. I mean, they're very transparent with the guys they go after, the guys they sign. And when they go and do that, hey, they're going to present them with some options. And I'm pretty sure that with Teoscar Hernandez, he knows where the Dodgers are at. Yeah. And just also talking to some people about the situation with Teoscar Hernandez, what I was told is that it's not contingent of waiting for Juan Soto to sign, because a lot of players in Teoscar Hernandez's situation would say, we're not talking to any team until we see where Juan Soto signs, because then we're hitting up all those other teams to see what we can get. That's not the case with Juan Soto. He would sign with the Dodgers today if they were ready to go on green light. I think that from David Vassay's standpoint, I know people are kind of going a little hard on him on X, on Reddit, this and that, kind of trying to say he kind of jumped the gun. But I think that Dave Vassay is going to be right at the end of the day. I think he's going to end up signing with the Dodgers, and I think that everything's fine. I don't think there's a anniversary of Shohei Ohtani's on a plane to Toronto, right? I don't think it's that situation. I think at the end of the day, DV will be right. It's going to take maybe a couple more days. I was told that probably he's not going to get a deal done for Teo before the winter meetings, but I do think that this time next week, we'll have a pretty good idea. We'll probably know where both those guys have signed.
Yeah, my gut's telling me Monday, Tuesday, we have a Teoscar deal, and we'll talk more winter meetings kind of predictions, set that up in a couple of minutes there. But, I mean, with where we're at, Doug, this team desperately needs outfield help. I don't see them inking both, and we just talked Soto while you were fighting traffic to get home to do this. We already talked Soto. I think the team is going to be out on Soto. I think there's a lot of things that Juan Soto and his camp have to like. Of course, now all of a sudden the Dodgers making friendly with Scott Boras, as you saw there at Dodger Stadium a couple days ago during the Snell introduction. But still, Juan Soto being a Dodger for 10, 12, 14 years, I don't see it happening when we already know, like we know how Teo fits in that clubhouse. You saw it firsthand, the way he fits in. It's like peas and carrots watching that. It's like DMAC and FRG. That's what it's like. Well, having Teoscar Hernandez in that clubhouse, they need him back. They want him back. And it's shh, like he said, the comment said, it's whisper quiet, it's library quiet right now, because those two are talking. Rafa, his agent, he's more busy, starting beef with John Heyman online right now, which Heyman going scorched earth on WFAN.
I was I was listening to the car, man. Can't believe it.
It was so good right here. Couple super chats to fire off. IB Strokin says the boys are back in town. Always good to see these two in the same channel at the same time. DMAC When will you join the Cool Kids Club and support all Dodgers and become a Patreon member? Hey, Doug's got a lot of things going on.
Who says they don't already? Who says they don't already, okay?
Hey, he supports with kindness and love. Richie Flores, $1.99 says, I prefer Kevin's Kitchen over DMAC's green screen. We appreciate the love here on the chat. And Ivy Stroking, another $5 super chat. Hey, this is apparently directly to you. He says, let's end the torta BS once and for all. Carne asada fries versus tortas. What's your preference?
Ooh, man, that's pretty tough. I love me a big, fat, juicy torta. Love me some tortas, but I gotta go with the carne asada fries, man. You know I get down carne asada fries, 6-pack of Modelo, Dodger baseball. I'm a happy camper, so I gotta go with that. I do love me some tortas though.
Man, but, I leave and things just fall apart. Who taught you what a torta is, mija?
It's a sandwich. It's a great sandwich. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm dicking around. Hey, this guy knows. He's been to LA. He's been out there. He knows where the hot spots are after a Lakers game. Yeah. Oh, let me take this off so I don't get in trouble, though. I'll go back to all Dodgers. You got something before we shift gears a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, just kind of on the Soto front, I mean, all things I think you're saying are 100% correct. It's kind of one of those things where, I mean, you know how it was throughout these big free agents that we've been kind of covering the last few seasons, going back to Bauer, to Freddie Freeman, to when they traded for Mookie Betts, and then they signed Mookie Betts. I mean, all these deals, all these players that they ultimately would go on and sign or trade for, it's almost like you had a pretty good thought that they were going to do that. I think the Juan Soto thing is more of okay, we are going to do our due diligence. We're an organization that's making a ton of money. So why not throw our hat into the ring because we are a destination franchise? And I think, you see John Heyman's thing about, okay, the Dodgers aren't in the 700 million club as far as what they're offering. That's basically just a message out there that, hey, you got to hit 700 million or you're gone. And two, everyone else keep going up, keep adding to the pile if you want Juan Soto. But at the end of the day, I think we kind of know where we're at with this free agency and that, hey, if you end up with Teoscar Hernandez, the Dodgers plan B is better than every single team's plan A plus. So
Absolutely.
You go through the process, you can live through that. Now, I also want to say this, we ran a poll. I've done tons of polls about Juan Soto. I would say that I haven't had one that's gone over 30% of Dodgers fans that truly want him in Dodger blue. And I think that there's this misconception about him that he's a bad teammate, he's a bad player to be around because he's kind of a me first guy. But I think with Juan Soto, he's a true generational talent that really would make any team incredible. It'd be like you're playing the fantasy baseball league with two people to have the kind of lineup that the Dodgers would have with Juan Soto. But at the end of the day, I'm all for the process because, look, if we see Soto to the Dodgers, even me, still is not going to be 100% shocked. We'll be surprised.
Yeah.
We'll be very, very surprised, but we won't be in complete disbelief because of what this organization has built. And two, if you think about it this way, look, I mean, you're at 600 million, right? If there's not a lot of deferrals in that, you already have the record for the net present value in contract. And if you are seriously considering opting out at any point during that contract, does it really matter what the back end of that deal is going to really contain? So I think for him, it's about happiness. I think it's about being competitive. I think he wants to go to an organization that is going to put him in the postseason because we've seen Soto in the postseason and he lives for it. He doesn't want to be in an organization that's not going to be there, and the Dodgers give him a chance every single year. So, I wouldn't be completely 100% shocked. I just don't think it's going to happen. I mean, have you thrown out your prediction for Juan Soto? I was going Mets.
Yeah, mine has been Mets, but all of a sudden we're at a point where it changes a little bit. I was like Mets and Yankees probably like in fourth, but I've changed, especially in this last week and a half. Like the Dodgers feel like a real destination. I think they end up second. Toronto, I was just talking about before you joined. There's too many issues there beyond 2025 that if I'm Juan Soto, I don't want to go to Toronto because they're just not ready. They're not ready to compete long term. There's two teams that are kind of ready to compete long term because they have the money. It's the Dodgers and the Mets, and we know Stevie Cohen wants somebody. He needs a superstar to put alongside Francisco Lindor. So that's where I've been all off season long, and I still think it ends up that way. But you got the Red Sox in the mix. What are you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, I've been Mets since day one, but man, Robbie Hyde, my man, he does baseball, YouTube as well.
Mm-hmm.
He's a big Red Sox guy, and man, he's got me believing that the Red Sox have a real chance. I mean, their owner, John Henry's got involved in the negotiations, and if you look at where he, apparently Soto kind of was a Red Sox fan kind of growing up, and he reportedly has really felt strong about the Red Sox, just about kind of them getting the money where they needed to get to. So there's also this interesting thing in Massachusetts where they have this thing called the millionaire tax, where he would take home a lot more in Massachusetts than he would in New York, about 6% more of that contract, which if you're talking about 700 milli, 650 milli, 6% is a lot. So, I mean, I just, for some reason, I want to see him on the Red Sox because, look, if he's, all those Yankees fans, and the Yankees are going to be really screwed if they lose Juan Soto. I mean, they do that lineup right now in Judge's prime. That'd be catastrophic for that Yankees team, especially losing to the Mets. But think about this. Well, look where the Yankees are at. You lose them to the Mets, your crosstown team, lose them to the Red Sox, your rival, lose them to the Dodgers, who are basically doing what you used to do and going out there and getting all the superstars and being the World Series champions. Really, the best thing for the Yankees would be either sign him or he goes to the Blue Jays, but that's still in your division, right? So I'm still kind of laughing at the Yankees, man.
Yeah, Yankees are in a bad spot. And I had my friend Derek Lewandowski. He hosts one of the great Yankees podcasts, also here on YouTube, because I had him on because I wanted to get an outside perspective of what you're talking about, that kind of like Dodgers fans, they worry about Soto being like some sort of clubhouse poison or whatever, some guy who lacks character. And what Pinstripe Derek told me, he's like, listen, this is a good dude. He showed up, he posted when there were tough questions to be asked, he was there. Teammates seemed to love him. Tommy Kahnle was on Foul Territory this week talking about how great of a guy he was in the clubhouse. I don't think it comes down to that. Again, it's about the money and the long term, how long term this contract is. And setting up what you did there when you're talking Yankees, they are in a precarious spot. If they lose Juan Soto, it's going directly to like one of their competitors, all-time generations of hated Dodgers Yankees, more generations hated Red Sox Yankees, or in division or crosstown rival. That would be very, very tough for them to swallow. However, much like you say, the Dodgers plan B is better than a lot of other teams' plan B. I think where the Yankees are at, they would be in a very good spot as well, because we're already talking like, they might go out and trade for Cody Bellinger, have him play first. They have the ability to add some pieces there, and kind of diversify the money more, something I've been talking about with Soto. Like, you can make the money work better. Get yourself another outfielder and a first baseman and a couple of pitchers, which are all things they need, and maybe also some like fundamentals coaches there. But that's a whole different conversation. But Soto, like, it's weird. It's a weird offseason to be the best available free agent. I don't know why. It just seems weird. The Soto sweepstakes feel weird to me.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like $700 million for Soto. I mean, you look at defensively where he is in the back end of that contract. I mean, if you look at the production, I mean, he's unbelievable. I mean, one of the sixth youngest players to hit 200 home runs, right? I mean, this guy hits 200 home runs when he's 25. He's absurdly young and talented, and he would 100% make this lineup better. He would make this team better. It would not be an all-star team. It literally would be an all-time team. I mean, would be talking about this team until the end of baseball, right? It'd be that massive for him to sign with the Los Angeles Dodgers. But having said that, I mean, one thing I want to point out too, Clint, I mentioned this on my show, is just imagine if the Dodgers didn't sign Shohei last season, right? Yeah. As far as the implication has on your CBT, the implication has on your payroll and your player acquisitions, right? As far as what he did for the Dodgers, deferring 97% of his contract, one, and two, being as profitable as he is, right? I think it was Pierzynski on your show, right, that pointed out on Foul Territory, pointed out that he heard $120 million. Like, you're talking about numbers like that, where the Dodgers literally have a player where they're paying money to a little over $2 million, they're profiting off of, and they're investing the money that they're not paying him into account, that when they do have to pay him in 2034, it's going to make it that much easier. So think about this. What if you didn't sign Juan Soto Shohei Ohtani last offseason, and you didn't win the World Series? This offseason, Dodger fans would be begging for Juan Soto, because you'd be like, oh, that's the superstar. That's the guy that we need. We missed out on Shohei. We need Soto now. So it's almost kind of that for me too. It's like, you told Shohei you're going to do everything in your power because of those deferrals to put together the best team. Well, you owe him and this organization, Friedman told us a couple days ago that this is a reward to the fans for their commitment and that they're fulfilling their promise to Shohei Ohtani, and this is none other than doing that.
Yeah, like the golden era of Dodger baseball. They're not lying about that. And you know what? The previous decade was pretty fucking good for us, man. It was pretty good. It's going to keep getting better. I had a great comment here from Denny Cortez saying Ohtani is his own economy. That's just a great way of putting it. Literally.
The autonomy.
The autonomy. Hey, listen, let's try. Here,
right away.
hey, I'm back. I'll give you shit. Don't forget that.
On the top of the I'm still workshopping. Okay,
I'm good. Listen, you're good. You got time. Let's spin forward a little bit. I didn't want to dive too much into like Sasaki talk because we're not even there yet. But we're talking about another one of those guys where it's like, yeah, he helps Dodgers leaps and bounds most likely. Even though he's still technically like a rookie, still technically a prospect, all that kind of stuff. Just I want to talk super quick and tight on Sasaki. Is it going to be Dodgers or Padres? What's the gut telling you? And what do you kind of what are the whispers you're hearing on it?
And after hearing Joel Wolf from Wasserman, his agent, kind of react the way he did, and how he was so upset that there was this feeling about Major League Baseball and that, hey, it's a done deal. It's a handshake deal. It's going to the Dodgers. I think that kind of led me to believe that the Padres have a better chance than anyone else, along with the Dodgers, right? The Dodgers are number one, Padres are number two. Is it a Dodgers-Padres game? Well, who's the gold standard in MLB reporting? It's Jeff Passan. Jeff Passan also mentioned teams like the Cubs, and it's not a slam dunk for the Dodgers. But then when he is posted, when he does pick the Dodgers, everyone's going to say it was the Dodgers the whole entire time, right? So I do think that when you look at kind of the posting fees or how much the Dodgers can generate international bonus pool money, I mean, yeah, they're definitely, them and the Giants have the least amount heading into the January 15th posting date, the 2025 one. But really, I mean, everything you hear about Roki Sasaki is, I mean, that's a difference between maybe $2 or $3 million, really, at the end of the day, possibly between where they are. And depending on what the Dodgers do, you have to kind of sell off a lot of assets and resources. You can add about 60% of what you do have. Kind of gets complicated. But truth of the matter is, everything you hear about Sasaki is he's going to go to where he thinks is the team that's going to make him the best pitcher. Yeah. And you can't tell me that the Dodgers won't make him a better pitcher than the Padres will. And I think for me, he does not go to San Diego and have the stability in the foundation. But it comes down to a couple of things, too. I mean, either he wants to play with Shohei and Yamamoto or he doesn't. If he doesn't, he won't be here. If he does, and that's something that's additive, that's a plus. If that's a plus for Roki, and then it's just about the best organization, I truly believe that he's going to end up with the Dodgers. Now, I was told, too, it kind of, when it comes to Sasaki, that you need to be reminded that as great as he is, the potential that he does have, I mean, electric splitter, just 102 when he's right. Yeah. He's not as refined as Shohei was when he came here. He's not as refined as Yamamoto was when he came here. So when I heard that, I was like, might be nice to kind of fit into a six-man rotation where you don't need to be your game 1, game 2, game 3, or even game 4 starter, right? He could just go in here, kind of, I was also told you don't want to rush him into the mix too. So he can go start with the Dodgers, kind of fill out the major leagues, and then some guys will go down, right? And then he'll get those opportunities. And then a couple years down the line when arbitration hits, I think that's when the money will come, and then that's what will benefit from being on this Dodgers team. And then, look, the guy's 23 years old, man. He's going to get paid. So I still believe that Roki Sasaki is going to be a Dodger. Andrew Friedman and company, they've been laying the foundation in Japan for so many years, and we're seeing it start to really pay off. Last year, Yoshi and Shohei, and then Roki this season. So Los Angeles Dodgers of Japan, man. I'm here for it.
Orlando in the chat says Sasaki will have the ability to tinker and fail with the Dodgers. With the Padres, he's going to be expected to perform immediately. There's two things that still give me hope for Sasaki coming to LA, and that is, like you said, there's not a better organization when it comes to developing pitchers, making them the best, as possible. Sure, it may come with an injury or 3, but you will never be a better, you'll never spin the ball better, have a better game plan and execution plan than you are with the Dodgers, because Padres, look at what they've developed. They haven't. They went out and got veteran dudes, and I just talked about this week on Dodgers territory. They had to go out and get Yu Darvish. They had to go out and get Musgrove. Musgrove, Michael King coming from the Yankees. Everybody, their aces are all from other teams. They don't really develop, starting pitching or anything like that very well. So I'm looking at that. If I'm Roki Sasaki, I'm also looking at the fact that the Dodgers, they got a lot of talent. They are more ready to win, even though the Padres were the better team, according to Dave and some other people. They were most likely entering that postseason. They were the hottest team, but Dodgers had heart. But still, they're going to be able to win, and you don't need to plug in and be that ace. Like Roki fits in my head as a Dodger, but maybe it's not neither of those teams. I think it most likely is those guys, but Cubs, Mets also make sense. They got Kodai Senga there as well, and he could be a star there in New York after they sign Juan Soto and everything. Would you say that hold on, we got comments first. Actually, I'm going to go to this first. Would you say that if the Dodgers, and I assume a Walker Buehler deal happens before Sasaki is able to be posted, but would a Sasaki deal take the Dodgers completely out of the razor thin, running that they're in with Walker Buehler, a return?
I would have to say yes. And I think that the odds right now are already less than 50% for Walker Buehler, just because if you're Walker Buehler, the market is more robust than you expected it to be. And a lot of that has to do with how you performed in the postseason. You had 13 scoreless innings. You get the final out of the World Series. If you're a GM out there, you don't think about Walker Buehler in the regular season. You think of that pose. You think of the "Are you not entertained?" Gladiator pose, and the confidence that he pitched with. And also, too, their analytics department, their baseball development departments, they've looked deep into how much more effective that four-seam fastball, that sweeper, that knuckle curve was. The movement, the profiles of it was all just so much better. And it truly was the best he's looked since 2021. And I think, too, you look at teams like the Braves, right? Look what they did for Chris Sale. Going out there, kind of getting him back on track. You look at a team like the Mets, right? I mean, kind of what's really, I think, going to get even more and more popular in Major League Baseball. We've already seen it. Look what the Mets did last season with Minaya. Look what they just did with Frankie Montas. Is you'll bet on that first season, and if it doesn't go right, you'll eat that second year. And you'll get that player option, and you'll live with it for $34 million. Could be even close to $40 million. Whereas, during the season, Walker Buehler was saying, I was afraid I was going to get released, right? I was not going to be on the postseason roster. At that point of the season, you're looking at $14 million, the Jack Flaherty deal for the Tigers. At this point, I think you mentioned the Roki Sasaki and how that'll impact it. If I'm Walker Buehler, financially, what's the best thing for him? Really, I think it's going to a team like the Tigers last season, pitching well with not a ton of pressure, and then you get traded at the deadline to a contender. No one can offer you that qualifying offer. And then maybe you have one good start in the postseason, kind of like Corbin Burns did against the Royals. And then you maintain your elite postseason pitching status. You proved you can pitch more than 100 innings in the regular season and be effective. And then you're a $100 million man. And we know Walker Buehler is extremely intelligent. He knows he wants to get paid. That's the path for that. On the Dodgers, if everyone stayed healthy, you give the opportunities to the guys you're paying. And if Walker Buehler struggled early on, if he went back to the Walker Buehler that we saw last season, would he be in the ballpark? Worst case scenario, right? Like a James Paxton or Noah Syndergaard, something like that, right? Because I just think about Walker Buehler. He needs to have all the opportunities to prove that he can be a 2 on his best day, 1 in moments, but really a very solid 2 to 3 in a rotation. And can he do that with the Dodgers for a full season? If they sign Roki after all that and that's stacked, remember Kershaw's coming back too, right?
Coming back too, yeah. And they also have other guys in the waiting in the wings. I know you just had Jackson Ferris on your show recently. He's somebody that I think makes his debut and can make an impact on this team this year. Landon Knack, he's still around. He still exists. He can still post some quality. Cover some quality innings for you in the very, very back end of that bullpen. Of that starting rotation. Nick Frasso is somebody that's going to exist. Emmett Sheehan comes back. And by the way, there's still 2022 All-Star Tony Gonsolin, Dustin May, and this is where I was asked right after the Blake Snell signing, does this mean that Walker Buehler is gone? And I was like, yeah. And then I let my heart come back into it. And I was like, no, we could find a way to get him the innings and it'll work out and whatever. The only reason he comes back is because he wants to pitch one more season with Clayton and he wants to try to run it back. But for for his pocketbook, for his future, for his 2025, 2026 offseason, he needs to go somewhere else. And he needs to go, and listen, he told us, I'm a problem right now. He needs to go be a problem for somebody else so he can get the bag, because this is the one time he's really going to be able to get the bag in his career. He's got to parlay this next season into something
what'd you make
special.
of his post? What'd you make of his post? I mean, he did that post on IG. I think that post was holy crap. Like, there's more teams interested than we expected. There's better offers out there than we anticipated. And I think he's kind of feeling good about the position that he's in. I'm really happy for Walker Buehler. I really, really am, because, I mean, I remember I asked him during the season, he was wearing a Jason Mask shirt, and the Jason Mask shirt said "From hell to hell and back." And I'm like, bro, I was like, you trying to say something about your shirt? He's like, maybe. He's been in some dark places in his baseball pitching world as far as the trajectory of his career, and it was a massive, massive turnaround thanks to his postseason exploit. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think he'll be back, but I also do think that he's someone that's a lifetime card-carrying member of the Dodger, once a Dodger, always a Dodger family. And I was saying on my show, too, it was like, it'd be kind of the coolest thing ever in a way that if he really is gone, your last pitch for the Dodgers is striking out Alex Verdugo to win a World Series. So wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but it is. And so I read the comment here. You think all four are going to be healthy? Of course not. Of course not.
No, absolutely not.
We know how this goes, right? We know how this movie ends.
We've never seen Tyler Glasnow make it through an entire season without being injured. He's going to be injured. It just needs to not happen at the end of the season.
Yeah.
And we need to make sure Yoshi's shoulder stays together. And Blake Snell, he's one of the guys you trust. We had the conversation. Alana and I had the conversation about, like, this is the workhorse, and that's just absurd. Blake Snell is your workhorse with all of the issues, we'll say, that come with him and his pitch count and all of that kind of stuff. One thing I wanted to say to the question you had about the Walker Buehler posting that photo, this is my interpretation. This is what I think, and we got a couple of super chats. I'm going to get to those right now. Thanks for holding, guys. Obviously, me and Doug haven't been together for a while talking Dodger baseball, and we really love talking Dodger baseball together. More so, we love talking rumors and where people are going, because that's the fun shit. But this is how I imagine Walker Buehler. He's sitting like out in his backyard, like on some sort of lounge chair. He's got the whiskey in a nice glass. He's got a stogie, and he's just going through Suhu's photos, and he's seeing all the pictures that were taken of him during the World Series, and he's like, "That's badass. WB, those are my initials." And then he just kind of posted it.
I read way too in it, is what you're saying. I read way too freaking in it.
Or maybe I'm not reading into it at all. There's a little bit of trolling, though. We understand Walker. He's in his bag. He's
very calculated.
Right now. Yeah,
very, very calculated.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun watching that.
All I gotta say is they got to send that beer bong to the Hall of Fame. That beer bong from the parade, that's got to go to Cooperstown.
They said he was happy that his glove made it to that Hall of Fame exhibit. They should have really put that beer bong in there. I believe it, and that was one of the things.
Who's using it as a scarf, man? Who's using it as a scarf? He's a legend.
Austin Barnes told us yesterday that he's more of a stogie guy, but he hit the beer bong because I forgot exactly how he said it. He was like Walker's good with the beer bongs. Like that's right up his alley. Walker, boy, loves to have himself a brew doggy. But to a couple of comments here, we got one a while back from a friend of the show, Diane Schroeder, saying, DMAC, I'll buy you unlimited orders of carne asada fries if you show up to the All Dodgers meetup next weekend. So we have our Discord chat where we're meeting up at a restaurant and just hanging out and talking Dodger baseball next weekend. So, Doug, you have an official, unofficial invite to that. It's a Sunday, though, so I'm guessing you're going to be busy doing some footballs. Let's see what else we got. There's Noah Ortega, $1.99, says Roki doesn't want a 24 scoreless inning offense. Bruh. That's a bruh right there. Slamming them Padres. Ravishing Rude, $1.99, says the Dodgers go after. Do we think the Dodgers go after, was it Munetaka Murakami? Listen, much like Yamamoto last year, well, that one's easier to pronounce. I was like, this is a lot of different things happening in this fella's name, the third baseman from Japan. Do you feeling some Murakami in 22 or 25? Or are we not looking that far ahead yet?
I mean, he's a bopper, man. Like, defensively, I mean, it's third base, right? I mean, you could definitely probably hack it, but I mean, he's a 38 home run guy in Japan. I kind of think as far as, unless you're a two-way player, right? I mean, the Dodgers are almost focusing on the pitching side when it comes to Japanese players. So personally, I don't really see it. I mean, I haven't really heard too much or really have him on my radar as far as a future Dodger. But yeah, I mean, this is a guy who is going to be an impact player, and teams are going to kind of be sought after. But it's kind of like the Seiya Suzuki and like position players that we've seen kind of throughout the years. Dodgers haven't been too heavily involved. They kind of, when it comes to these player acquisitions, man, they're really going big or going home on a lot of these guys. Man.
Yeah, and that's another one of those guys. It's like a massive question mark. You don't know how he's going to plug in. And offensive players, I think of like Ha-Seong Kim, his first year, it took him a little bit of time to get his feet wet. Dodgers don't have that necessarily that luxury, at least on the position player side. So maybe he doesn't land here. We got 999 from Francisco Diaz again. Thank you, Francisco, for supporting the show. Says one thing to keep in mind with Roki is with the Dodgers, he'll come into a situation where he could take his time, debut, after the All-Star break, or with the Padres, they would rush him. So back on that same thought there. And I think we had one more. No, we did not. Appreciate everybody hanging out in the chat so far. Appreciate DMAC joining the show here on a special Friday night edition of All Dodgers Live. Quickly, I want to throw this one out there because, again, I think we're both on the boat where we would not be shocked, but we'd be a little surprised if the Dodgers land Juan Soto. Still think Teoscar Hernandez is coming back. Do you think the Dodgers need to re-sign Kiké Hernandez?
100%. I think Kiké Hernandez, you could it'd be one thing. Here's the thing about Kiké. It'd be one thing if it was, okay, he did what he did in the 2024 postseason. He hit the big home run in Game 5 of the NLDS. He comes through in the NLCS. I mean, the big series in the Yankees, the big innings, they were started by Kiké Hernandez singles, right? Just the little things. I mean, players, coaches, they'll tell you he's the smartest guy. Dave and Mookie said on their podcast he's the smartest player he's been around. These little tiny things kind of getting in the way of Volpe's throw to kind of force that misthrow to Jazz, kind of putting pressure on Judge when he dropped the ball in the 5th inning. I think when you look at his baseball savvy, his flair for the dramatic, his slow heartbeat in October, if that was just one postseason run, I'd say, you kind of live without him, right?
Nope.
He also did it in 2020. He had a big home run against the Braves. He was one of the only guys that hit against the Diamondbacks in 2023, and he should have been starting and getting more opportunities earlier in that series. And look, ask any player on the team, who's the funniest guy on the team? Kiké Hernandez immediately. I mean, I think for the kind of money that he could get to, he knows what it was like in Boston when he was always wondering, man, what would it have been like if I could get 500 plate appearances and be an everyday player? He has that answer now, and it's not the role for him. It's a perfect role on the perfect team. I think with Max Muncy struggling against left-handed pitching and the injuries, I mean, he's going to find his spot on this team. So I am 100% all in on the yes. You have to bring back Kiké Hernandez, fan favorite, clubhouse favorite. And this is the thing, Clint. Next postseason, that first game where they don't come through in a big spot. If for whatever reason they don't win because they're like, oh, they didn't have pass, they didn't have that spark, they didn't have that clutch base hit. They're not going to say anything but where the hell is Kiké Hernandez?
Absolutely. 1,000%.
I don't want to live for that.
Two things I'll add to this is one, Doug McKain, would you ever imagine a world where I am pro Kiké Hernandez?
I have to admit, things have changed in Dodgerland very quickly, man. When you beat the two New York teams, you could win the Yankees series. I mean, for Kiké, for you to be, I'm known as a big Imanaga hater, right? I'm a big Imanaga hater because I used to get mad that people would put him in the same tier as Yamamoto, right? Like they're not on the same table. But for you to be pro Kiké Hernandez, that's
times have changed, man.
That's pretty big, man. I mean, that's pretty bad. I'm trying to think of a Dodger player. I have to go like Milton Bradley, that I really hated. You know what I'm saying? Like Jason Schmidt for different reasons, but like. Yeah, I mean, the kind of thing with Kiké is so weird is because, like, I mean, the truth of the matter is he's a very average at best to a below average for most of the time in the regular season. And in the postseason, he plays like an all-star. But what was the note? Okay, let me ask you this, Clint. Then. What was was there one moment? Was it saying we don't give an F to Ken Rosenthal? Was it stepping up? And was there like one moment that you can kind of link turning it around to Kiké?
It was the look off of the Yu Darvish homer. That look said, we're winning this. We got this. Fuck the Padres. We're going. And then he dropped the famous, line to Ken Rosenthal, and all things went from there. That kind of became the mantra, the vibe, even though the fact was he was wrong, because they very much give a fuck. And we saw them do that against the Yankees. The Yankees didn't give a fuck. And as Chris Taylor said, they shat down their legs. This team gave all of the Fs on all of the areas where it made sense. You saw Freddie Freeman, he gave all of the Fs, and he also kind of gave his ankle to help this team win a World Series. So that
I got to do a meetup, and we can do the belt bump. We can do the belt bump.
Beating you?
Yeah. You know what I call the belt bump? I mean, the Dodgers invented the high five. That's the low four. That's the low four.
Yeah, you got that one. You got. Let's see what else.
No, but
I'll give you the drum.
I'm totally with you. I mean, from a roster spot standpoint too, right? I mean, the truth is, I mean, they got the ultimate Kiké Chris Taylor in.
Yeah, and every time, man, every time he finds a way to get in that lineup. He needs to be in that lineup. Like in the postseason, just make him a starter somewhere. He finds that way. You got to have him back. Anyways, go ahead. Sorry, I derailed you there.
No, I mean, I'm with you. I think it's kind of one of those things with Kiké where you look at last season. I mean, he had some offers towards the end. He waited it out. You trade Margot, finds a spot on the roster. Some people were like, oh, Margot, it could be this, that, and this and the other. But no, man, I mean, Kiké is Kiké. And also, too, let's be honest, like that ring ceremony would not feel complete if he was not a part of it. It just
Absolutely
would not. So that's not a reason to sign someone. Let's just put that out there. But I think it's going to be a drop of the bucket contractually based on some of their other players. And I'm surprised I'm actually pretty surprised they haven't already signed him. Like, I really am, man.
It's got to be on the checklist somewhere, like hits, homers, on base, is a vibe. Like, you got to have the vibe check somewhere on that Andrew Friedman checklist. And one of the other things I was going to say when we're talking about Kiké Hernandez, and more so the postseason performer, Doug, we watched before this season, we watched very early exits in 22 and 23 for this Dodgers team in the postseason. And Andrew Friedman was asked, I think Bill Plunkett asked him in 23, after 23, it's like, how are you going to go out and try to get some postseason performers? And he was like, how do you know who a postseason player is? Well, you found out. It's your Blake Trinan, who needs to be back. Told Alana on foul, as she was pinch hitting for Scott Braun this week. She told him. He told the boys there, everybody on foul, I want to be back. I'd love to be back in Dodgers. I have nothing but great things to say about that team, and I hope we find a way back. But it's Blake Trinan. It's Kiké Hernandez. They come up with these big moments. Freddie Freeman, you went out and got that guy because you saw him have big moments against you in the postseason. But yeah, there is such thing as postseason players. And now, don't let them go. Don't let Kiké Hernandez go again. Hey, Chalk is a free agent. Maybe you bring him back and you just let it figure itself out. I don't want Chalk back, but you got to throw it out there for fun.
No, for sure. And look, I mean, nostalgia is a hell of a drug, I always say, right? And you think of these guys in their best times, and those are kind of we're kind of winning. We're kind of contenders, right? I mean, you did make the 2017, 2018 World Series, but when we look at the roster then versus now, it's like, oh my goodness. I mean, it's at a whole other level at this point. But I want to touch on your point that you found these postseason performers, right?
Yeah.
You have, right? But also those guys aren't guys that were like, yeah, they perform in the postseason and they're also like 27 and they're all-stars. So now other teams are offering $100+ million or whatever it is. Those postseason guys that you're talking about that they've found are also guys that aren't going to get $50+ million contracts from other teams. So they also fit in your roster construction, your roster build, where you bring back Blake Trinan on a 2-year deal, $15 million, something in that range, and you hope that he does what he did this season: sub-2 ERA, 30+% strikeout rates, a dog in the postseason. Because look, everyone's going to remember the Walker Buehler this, everyone's thinking about that, but hey, the real ones, the ones that are not new to this, the ones that are true to this, like you and I, remember 6, 7, and 8 from Blake Trinan, right? We're
bro,
remember.
I was arguing that he needed to be co-MVP of that series because of what he did.
That's insane.
Hey, you know what? Just give it to him. Whatever. They could cut the car in half. I don't know if they gave out a car, but they can cut apart Corey Seager's car in half. We had I want to get a couple more of the super chats in here because I missed Frank H. Sorry, Frank, for that one. But he's going back to more Padres. Roki talks. Says the Padres are a loser organization. The proof is in their own comments about Sasaki. For them, he's some Hail Mary. Without him, they don't have a chance. For us Dodgers fan, he's a young pitcher who needs to develop. And it's just a different mindset with this organization. We're playing we're playing a different game than a lot of these other teams out there right now. I think I had one more. I don't want to make this a show where we're just reading super chats because I appreciate everybody hanging out.
Paper, baby.
I want to make sure people.
Add that to all the super chat money. We'll throw to the international bonus pool money. That'll help for Roki Sasaki.
No. I need it to live, my friend.
Oh, you do? Okay, fine.
I don't make money just monthly anymore, so I gotta.
Hey,
people, pay daddy as much as you can. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
But
drop some dough down below.
Frank also adds $2 super chats. Says Fat Joe is a key player in the World Series as well, so the Dodgers got to re-sign Fat Joe. Hey, let's move on a little bit here. So trend forward, we got me, you. Here talking winter meetings. A couple years ago, we went to winter meetings. The Dodgers didn't do shit. This year, they're going to do a lot of shit. What do you think the plan is entering the winter meetings? Because this team has some holes to fill, even if it doesn't feel like it. You look at that, like right now, projected opening day lineup, or even plug in Teoscar Hernandez. There are some question marks. The bottom of that lineup looks a little iffy. What is the biggest needs remaining for you, and what's the plan?
I think the plan really is to, one, get eliminated from the Soto sweepstakes, pivot to signing Teoscar Hernandez. That will certainly be top of the line there. But also, too, I think that it's not as simple as, okay, we're going to just buy all of our talent. I think that Andrew Friedman told us a couple of days ago that he does not want to buy in July, something that you and I have talked about for years now, right? He wants to get the Halloween candy the day after Halloween. It's cheaper. He hates the prices in July. It's a terrible time for player acquisition. But he also slipped in there, we're going to do everything we can to make this roster where you don't have to buy in July, and that's through free agency and possibly through trades. So even if you don't see trades materialized during the winter meetings, I think you could see discussions. I mean, one of the first things I'm surprised no one has asked Dave Roberts yet, is what does Mookie Betts moving to the infield mean for Gavin Lux? Yeah. Do you try him again at shortstop? Do you try him in the outfield that we saw in 21? If not, you have to consider moving him. There's no if and buts about it. I got Gavin Lux on the show next Friday, so hopefully you didn't see this and cancel because I want to see him get another opportunity. I believe in Gavin Lux, but you could also go a trade route to try to improve your roster. And I think you talk about the bottom of that lineup. I mean, if Teoscar's back in right, which he played left at a below average level, the defensive metrics in right were a lot better. Yeah. I feel okay about him, especially when it is on offense. Tommy Edman in center. And then the shortstop spot, no one's talking about Willy Adames. And usually if no one's talking about the Dodgers in a player, you got to feel good about
a little bit of smoke.
That. You feel better about that, right? So
what was it? The rumor mill? How many Dodger dogs is that one? Is that what you had? Or have?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Dodger dog in that one, we haven't seen much, right? Yeah. So I think for me, it's what do you do with the shortstop position? I think that everyone's going to talk about Soto. You'll talk about re-signing Teoscar Hernandez. I anticipate seeing that. But they have to answer the question of who is going to be the Dodgers shortstop. I saw excellent interview you guys did with Dino Ebel and him saying that Mookie Betts is going to be a Gold Glove second baseman. Well, if he can be a Gold Glove second baseman, that means he's not going to be shortstop again. Yeah. So if he's not going to be shortstop again, who the hell is it going to be? We know Rojas said on my show, he basically said, look, man, you play shortstop every day. It bleeds into your offense. Physically, he told me that you wake up the next day, you play shortstop, it just feels different the next morning, right? Yeah. So he's not your option. Do you platoon him potentially with a Gavin Lux? Do you consider other moves out there if you're going to go that route? I mean, I think that's kind of the number one thing is what do you do with the shortstop position? Yeah. How involved are you in the Adames market? I mean, the Correa, I don't know how many episodes you did on Correa. I got one out of it because I kind of wanted to touch on it? Because it wasn't even a rumor, man. It was Carlos Baerga attached the Dodgers to him,
It's less
right?
than a rumor. It was somebody being drunk at a bar just coming up with an idea. But talking shortstop, I appreciate you going there. There's still the synergy because that was the big topic I wanted to touch on in this section of the show. I have it in my run of show. It's like, do we think they're in or out on Adames? And I don't think they're in because I think a lot of the other teams, primarily the West Coast team, East Coast teams, are looking at Adames as the backup if they don't land Juan Soto. And they've been pretty vocal about it, or at least through rumors, they've been vocal. That's the backup plan. It's going to be Adames and some other pieces. I mean, we talked for probably 2.5 seasons, you and I, about the Dodgers need Willy Adames. The Dodgers need Willy Adames. I don't know now. Now they have him available. I don't think they're going to do it. I thought like the first week or two, maybe there's a possibility they go that route. They could pursue Willy Adames, but I think they're focused on the outfield. I think they view the guys they have in-house at shortstop, mainly Edman, mainly Rojas. But if Gavin Lux can figure it out and become a factor there at shortstop, listen, guys, I don't like it. And Doug, I'll say to you, Gavin followed me on Facebook now. So talk about, or sorry, not Facebook, but on Twitter. So talk about a full, 180 in a relationship there. Where we had him on the show and then he added me. So we're best friends now.
Joe Kelly and Carlos Correa can go to the movies together or something. I mean, come on now. What the hell is going on here?
But is that not the answer? Because I mean, at some point, how much money is too much? Even when you're talking about the Los Angeles Dodgers and Teoscar and Trinan and adding Blake Snell and also Willy Adames, there has to be a point where they say enough is enough. Now, I'll say I love Willy Adames. I think he's perfect for this team because they need a shortstop, and a couple years down the road, they need a third baseman. We know they don't necessarily have those guys, or we can feel they don't necessarily have those guys in-house, whether you're looking at Alex Freeland, whether you're looking down the road at Kellen Lindsey. We know they hate Cody Hosey. They don't like any of their infield prospects. So at some point, Max Muncy is going to be old. He already is old, but he's not going to be here anymore. You don't have a third baseman. You don't necessarily have a shortstop. So it would, I'll throw out my behoove word. It would behoove them to land Adames right now. And I keep saying it future-proofs the team a little bit for this season and arguably the next 6 or 7 seasons, whatever that contract looks like. That said, I really think they're out on Adames and they're looking in-house. They're looking in-house at the pieces they have, and it circles back to Gavin Lux needs to put all of the knee shit behind him. We saw him get better in the second half. I don't know if Uncle Aggie helps his knee at shortstop as well, but the brain needs to be good. If things are working here between the head, we've already seen him perform as a shortstop at the big league level, filling in for Corey Seager. He can be that dude. And I think he needs to be the dude because Mookie Betts, at his age, should not be playing shortstop, and that's a period for me.
It's a no way, no how. 100% agree with you on that one. I mean, what Mookie does best at this stage of his career is hit baseballs and rake and be a dynamic offensive player. And you want to extend that career and match it with Shohei Ohtani's as long as you possibly can. You do that by playing him at second base. And I totally agree with you that, I mean, if Gavin Lux is going to be on this team, he's got to be the shortstop. I was talking to a player recently, and he told me that later in the season, watching Gavin Lux even work at shortstop was night and day different than how he looked during spring training. And you kind of look back on this and you think to yourself, wait a minute, did they really put Gavin Lux coming back off a major, multiple injuries, knee stuff, hamstring stuff, into a baseball team that had more pressure on them to win than any team on the planet, and really think that he was just going to hit the ground running at shortstop when he had struggled with the throw at time in the past, when he didn't have 100% confidence in his lower body? He was a recipe for disaster. And, a lot of people thought that it was kind of, it was a big ask for him to expect those results, because the crazy thing, in spring training, he was hitting like 300, right? Offense was cold to start the season. Like you mentioned, Augie turned everything around post All-Star break. He really was like a top 13 hitter in Major League Baseball. But you mentioned 2021. His throwing strength was on par with like the Dansby Swansons of the world. He's rangier than Mookie Betts. So, I mean, the truth is, they had to have an honest conversation with themselves about, Lux's value, because I think Lux's value to the Dodgers is more as a guy who has 2 more years of team control as a potential shortstop and a guy that can hit 280 to 300, be a dynamic base runner, get on base, turn that lineup over.
Keep the lineup moving,
versus anything that can be a piece in a trade chip. Because the truth is, if you're a good team out there, you're not going to let the Dodgers fleece you with Gavin Lux as the centerpiece of your package, right? You're not going to Verdugo, Mookie, Boston them, right? The warning signs are out there, right? So it's going to include a lot more than Gavin Lux to get a big-time player. Unless they want to get take a flyer on a prospect, they want to keep off the 40-man, something like that. That moves out there, certainly. But I do agree with you that I wouldn't say they're complete out on Willy Adames. I do think that there probably is – there's got to be some communication just because they've had interest in him for years. And one thing we both know is that if they've liked you once, it takes a lot for them to just completely not like you, right?
That's fair.
And they've been interested in Willy Adames for a couple of seasons now, and you could sign him to a deal, $160 million, something in that range, which isn't cheap, but then also you can move him to third base in a couple years as well, and you're kind of looking at a guy that has some pop. His kind of batting profile doesn't really link up to what the Dodgers kind of preach, right?
Yeah,
kind of some boom and bust in his swing.
Yeah, there's a lot of strikeout in there, and there would be adding another lot of strikeout guy, but he's still.
I think we're in agreement though, Clint. I feel like the idea of Lux, I mean, kind of just like seeing if he can play shortstop. It's kind of exciting. You know what I mean? Like,
I'll ask you this: like put on your scout glasses. I know you know ball. Like, do you feel in your heart of hearts, but also like being real, do you feel Lux can be a shortstop again at this stage in his career?
You know what? I do think so. I really, really do. And this is coming from Gavin Lux, who has told me I am a shortstop. I came up as a shortstop. I feel most comfortable as a shortstop. That's coming from him himself.
Yeah.
And I do think that if your question is, can Gavin Lux be a shortstop for one of 30 major league teams? This team, I think certainly, but I think that if he was already on a fourth place team somewhere else where just go out there, fail a little bit, and kind of get his legs underneath him, be easier. But I do think when you look at he's an athletic guy. He can get to baseballs, right? And I think that he had a major breakthrough last season. I mean, literally, I asked Dave Roberts, I was like, hey, is Gavin Lux's in-season turnaround the biggest in-season turnaround you've ever seen? He said yes. So he has that kind of confidence builder in his mind. And I certainly think, too, if you're Gavin Lux, too, I mean, where's your payday at, right? Your payday is at shortstop position. And he truly showed at second base that he was an above-average second baseman. So I do think that he can get it done. Would I feel awesome about it? No. But here's this. You got Tommy Edman, and you can move some things around if you need to put Tommy Edman as an everyday shortstop. You have Miguel Rojas, who can play at a Gold Glove level, Mookie Betts, Kiké, Chris Taylor. So I do think that it's still worth trying out again if you view him as someone who could be a long-term part of your franchise. And like I said, he's worth more than Dodgers than I think he is for any team out there. So I certainly think if you believe it. I mean, are you into the idea of moving into the outfield? Are you into the idea of third base?
Listen, we've tried all of it. We can still see the tape outline. I for some reason went down a rabbit hole of looking at AJ Pollock's Instagram page, and I saw the one where they're tapping the wall and all this stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, Gavin Lux tried to play the outfield before. No, he's a middle infielder. He's a second baseman right now. I echo what you're saying there because, Doug, we've talked to the man. We've both talked to this dude at various stages. We've talked to him together when I shoehorned a conversation you were having with him days before he blew out his knee. When the head is right, he is a big leaguer. He is a legitimate big leaguer. He can get the job done, and we've seen it happen at shortstop. He was yipped up. Like you said, they threw him at shortstop when he was purely not ready. He was barely even ready to be, probably playing Major League Baseball again at that point, less than a year removed from significant knee surgery, a major operation on that reconstruction on that knee. It was tough for them to say, and yeah, he spent the whole winter working and doing all of his stuff, but take the reins off, go out there, Also, we need you to be ready to start shorter than we usually would because we're going to Korea in about 2 weeks. Go figure it out. And then, for Mookie, all the credit in the world to Mookie for stepping in that spot he was in, and Gavin sliding over. And I think everything just slowed down for him for a little bit there defensively at that point. But this is going to be my next, after winter meetings, I think this is going to be my next phase of the channel, is pushing people into buying into Gavin Lux as a shortstop, because I do believe that's the plan. And the other thing, you mentioned a few of those names. They still have Miggy Rojas. They still have Tommy Edman for the next 5 years. Chris Taylor can play some shortstop. If Kiké Hernandez returns, he can play some shortstop. Gavin Lux doesn't need to be your everyday shortstop. Even if it's in a platoon and he's just starting against righties, you're still in a pretty good spot. He just needs to be league average defensively at shortstop. If he can be a little above or slightly below, you're still in a good spot, and you're not committed to another player for more than half a decade. And I think at some point, again, you need to rein it in a little bit and hope that the minor league starts churning out some talent again. But you have a guy. He was a top prospect for you at one point, had a nasty knee injury. Give him a chance again, and I think they will.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, I definitely think it's a fascinating conversation. Like you point out, kind of once the signings go down, you start looking at the roster next season, the questions that need to be answered, that's right at the top of the list. But, yeah. I mean, let me ask you this. I mean, what would you rather have? Kind of the depth of the shortstop they have, see if you have something with Gavin Lux at short. I like what you bring up as far as a platoon situation, because that takes some pressure off him as well, and it eases him into that role. I think he had success with Corey Seager because it was like, hey, this is the best we got right now. He's just filling in, right? He's just filling in. So even if he makes a mistake, he's the guy that's just filling in. So you can't go too hard on him. I think that helped him kind of just mentally wrap his arms around that role. But, I mean, I'd rather have that than 1 year of Ha-Seong Kim at 10 or 12 million, right? I think that with Ha-Seong Kim, something like that, some guy on a reclamation project type prove it deal, doesn't hit a lot of home runs. Yes, he has a talent to be everyday shortstop. Yeah.
There's a shoulder surgery there, so it's another situation where you're plugging in an injured dude. And I understand, guys in the chat, believe me that if it was flipped, or even 6 months ago, I'd be yelling at us too, putting any faith in Gavin Lux, but knowing full well that the team that this organization breaks camp with, that they go to Tokyo with, is not going to be the team that's on the field for the postseason. So you have 162 games to figure out if Gavin Lux is an answer. He's dirt cheap, and we saw him go off. We saw him go off around the All-Star game. He can be a good talent. I'm just saying, give him a chance. I gave him a chance, and now look at us. We're best friends for life. But I gave him a chance.
I got to read this comment, though. Like good old times. I got to read this comment. This is from Yang Yi. Says, Dodgers always can trade for shortstop Ahmed Rosario in July. So there you go. Yeah.
Bruh, I love that. That is phenomenal.
I was like, I got a hot take. My trade is they're going to trade for him again. I mean, somehow, some way, Rosario is going. They're going to make his life miserable for another.
Who's the most more obscure Dodger, Taylor Trammell or Ahmed Rosario getting a ring this year?
Oh man, I gotta say Taylor Trammell, man. I really do, because I think it's funny they dedicate an entire backstage Dodgers on him and Jay. Oh. And both of them are gone. I think he had 6 at bats, I want to say. I mean,
absolutely absurd. Man. Did get earlier 999 super chat from Justin.
He didn't even have a chance to go from Taylor Trammell to Taylor Trammell. He was still Taylor Trammell to a lot of people, but yeah.
He was. But Justin was pointing out, so I think we need to trade Lux and CT3 with some of our mini prospects for either a package of Crochet and Robert Jr. or Halsey and Arenado or Luis Castillo. If you turn off fair trades, you can get rid of all the problems and then also just add all the talent, and then you could go into their payroll and turn it down to $1 or whatever. But that's nobody values Chris Taylor, and I love CT3 as a person. Zero teams value CT3, especially at that deal. Nolan Arenado, they have a third baseman they believe in Max Muncy, and he told the guys on Foul this week is he'll do whatever the team asks. He just wants to be here, but I still don't know where you would put Arenado and Muncy, and at some point it needs to make sense. You can just get a bunch of talent, but you can't go and draft a bunch of left fielders and then expect them to figure it out, or a bunch of shortstops. I mean, the Padres kind of figured that out, I guess. Get shortstops.
Yeah.
And guys, go play somewhere like a softball team.
Exactly. It's not how it works. I mean, there. I mean, look, there are trade guys that could certainly help this team. Of course, Arenado. Everyone is clamored for him for a long, long time. Even yourself, you've been big on the idea of bringing in Arenado in the past. I'm not so sure how high are you on the recent rumors, but Max Muncy is kind of one of those guys where, man, at some point chemistry does matter. I think for Muncy, I mean, kind of the one thing for Arenado, the case for Arenado kind of in my book is if you are going to go with kind of an unproven shortstop, I mean, you really improve the left side of your infield by having a platinum glover at third base, and his defensive metrics have gone back to elite status after having a down year in 2023 because of a back injury. So Arenado can still glove it, but the truth is, I mean, is this a slightly above average bat at 34 years old? Yeah. And to me, I mean, Muncy's got 30-plus bombs, and it can play average defense, and it's a hitter's league. The most important thing you can do, it's not as great as much of an impact as defense has and run prevention has. The recipe to winning is if you want the dub, you've got to slug. Okay. And Max Muncy,
he said
hits baseballs at a prolific rate.
He does.
He's a 30-homer guy that plays average defense
Series, but
a big blue guy. $14 million, man. Come on now.
Yeah, and that's such a team-friendly deal. And listen, I would take Nolan Arenado if it was 2 or 3 years ago, but we're at a point where you're actively seeing the decline. And, you know, if you're going that route, I would rather spend the money on Willy Adames and expect him to move to third after Max Muncy. But you have a hole at shortstop. You don't have a hole at third. You don't have a hole at second base. You have a hole at shortstop. You have a hole in the outfield, but they can figure that out if it's Teo and Pages and ideally Tommy Edman because, hey, Gavin Lux figured it out at shortstop. I understand. It's not popular to a lot of people in this chat, but just throwing that out there. Glenn, we'll get this in there because Glenn had thrown a $2 super chat our way talking about Ha-Seong Kim. I would not be surprised if he doesn't, or I would be surprised if he doesn't end up being with the Giants. I think that's kind of what they're trending towards. They need an adult in the house kind of there in San Francisco, and they still don't know what the hell they're doing. But I mean, a bunch of people in the chat still going. I know it's been a long day for you, my dude. So let's one last thing. What do you want to talk about before I let you go?
What, I can pick anything?
Anything, man. Doesn't even need to be baseball. Listen, people are here for the boys.
The golden
being
bat
back.
rule. The golden bat rule. Then
there
the golden bat rule. Are you in on the golden bat? The golden bat. Because for me, it feels very Nintendo Wii. Might as well put the freaking ball in a tee right there. I think it's absurd. Like I said, I wish Rob Manfred actually liked baseball. I think it would help him as a commissioner. But yeah, I think that's very Savannah Bananas. And I don't know, man. I definitely want to get your take on that because. You're an innovative guy. You know you care about the betterment of the game. That's a little ridiculous to me.
That's as our boy Noel's in the chat because he says, "What you know about that lifestyle?" Appreciate Noel hanging out with us for a bit. I'm sure you guys haven't heard that. I'm assuming y'all
Miguel
aren't allowed
Vargas look alike.
I don't know. Last time I saw him, he was 20, so I don't know what he looks like these days. But
handsome young man.
The golden at bat has got to be like somebody at Major League Baseball was fucking baked out of their gourd, smoking like the most dankest of the dank from Snoop Dogg or somebody. It's the stupidest idea I've ever heard of. Like you know, at some point, yeah, you pitch ideas, and of course, Rob Manfred kind of addressed this today, saying like, you know, if you don't like it, you don't have to worry about it, you know, happening at any point in, you know, immediately or whatever. I think it was something like honestly, when I first saw it, I thought somebody got faxed. I thought it was MLB on fax, and somebody got it and somebody ran with it, you know. But the fact that there was a sliver of truth, it's absurd, but. It's dumb as hell. It's dumb as hell.
See, I think that I hate the idea of the golden bat rule, but I think it would be cooler to have one at bat where a team could have Lance Lynn pitch to them. See, that makes more sense.
Bruh.
Guaranteed bomb. Lance Lynn gave another home run. Right? See, I like that. The golden Lance Lynn.
He's skinny now. He's skinny. Golden Lance Lynn. Fools is flying around the country pitching for a bunch of teams. Oh God,
that'd be it.
See, hey. That idea is as stupid as the whole idea in general that Major League Baseball came up with. So at least it's the offseason, and the idea of this being real is not as like a non-factor. But ooh, my God, how terrible would that be? The game is fine. We listen. We like the pitch. Oh, we don't like the pitch clock, but I like earlier games. Games going quicker. I'm sure you gotta love it. Going to games and whatnot. You don't need to fix more or tinker with more. It's fine. Maybe
The game is
market the
great.
game
Honestly,
better.
I didn't have an
Maybe
issue. It evolved naturally, kind of, right?
or
So
maybe understand like what we're doing. Let people like us post some fucking clips of your game without getting a copyright strike or demonetized or whatever it is. Baseball. Let the creators. Did you see this thing? The PGA Tour is bringing a bunch of content creators from YouTube to talk to them about growing the game. Like, I love that.
Really?
PGA Tour talking to people who have like the next generation of golf fans, like eating out of their hands. The Bob Does Sports, the Bryan brothers, Paige Sporanic, all of these people. PGA Tour is like, we want to know what you think we can do to make the game better, to compete with Live Golf and all that kind of stuff. That's cool. Talk to Doug McKain about how to make the game better.
Bro.
Talk to Giraffe Neck Mark. Don't talk to who's the guy, Zach Hampel. Fuck him. He can go to the moon. Like, talk to people who watch the game on how they would like to see the game be improved. Don't just be like, I don't know, can we do something where like fucking Shohei at bats hits again? I love that idea. Fucking idiots.
That's why it's the crazy thing to me, and I won't spend a million hours on this, but like people are saying the Dodgers are ruining baseball when they're truly doing the exact opposite. They're actually making baseball for the first time in a long time a part of the national casual water cooler conversation. I mean, the Shohei Ohtani is batting however many at bats was funny, but it also was because there were people tuning in that don't usually tune into baseball, and that was keeping them there. Point. So, yeah, the super teams are good for the game. Villains are good for the game. If the Dodgers sign Juan Soto, I think I'll die of laughter because MLB Reddit will absolutely burn down. X will burn down.
That
right?
one Padres fan would be actively crying on was it Talking Friars or whatever.
He would definitely need a wellness check. No, 100%. Like, but look, I mean, I think, like I said, the game I think is in a really good spot. I do think it's getting younger. The stars, I think, right now are. I mean, this is we're seeing peak Dodger baseball, and it kind of feels like that for Dodgers fans. But I mean, we literally just had a Dodgers Yankees World Series, right? I mean, it's the highest rated series since 2016. That was when the freaking Cubs were trying to break a curse, right? So. Yeah, I mean, the Golden Bat thing was kind of funny. Something that kind of like in the back of my mind, though, I will say, like, if the Dodgers continue to sign the best players and they continue to win, I mean, how will that in any way impact the next CBA at some point?
Oh, yeah.
You just kind of wonder because.
Oh, yeah. Bad.
Yeah. Yeah, it 100% will just like.
Because we know how much baseball hates baseball, too. And you saw, you saw players tweeting about, after they signed Blake Snell, like the eye rolls from Vinny Pasquantino or whatever, like people are upset about the Dodgers, but everybody's going out there telling you, your team, your ownership can do it too. Just go to a better team.
No, it's crazy. Like I was talking to Jerry Harrison Jr. today and was telling him.
Was he on the golf course?
Dude, he was rocking like a purple polo. Yeah, he said he lost. He's a +4, I think, handicap. Man. He's a real deal. He said that he almost beat Ryan Pepio at JT's thing. Pepio's the real deal. But
one.
hole in one guy. The NFL, the International Cricket League, and then right after that, it's Major League Baseball. It's literally Major League Baseball is the third richest league in all of professional sports at almost $12 billion. The NFL is king. International Cricket League, it must be fire, man. I gotta say, I guess I'm not up on something. I gotta get up on that. But like
be up at 3 a.m. watching cricket highlights, my guy. Hey,
I'm gonna add that to my rotation.
Put down, put aside the '90s Bulls highlights. Watch some cricket.
Throwing some cricket in there, man. Get on my John Boy, right? He hit a little cricket phase during the.
To derail you here, what would be your fix? Because my fix or my thing that I would change for baseball is what we see happen in like Japan or whatever. Just add more fanfare, more excitement. Not watching stupid cars on a screen go around, or watching some dumb promotion where the in-stadium hosts are going around being like, "Oh, you could win this if you guess whatever our sponsor wants you to do." Like having the cheerleaders and fireworks and more also some like the things they do at minor league games where they let fans on the field and they're running and doing bases and weird shit. Like make that part of baseball fun. I don't know how that helps on TV, but they seem to be doing well enough on TV. That's what I would do at least. What's your radical change for baseball?
Man, my radical change for baseball, honestly,
Tortas on the field.
You really have to find. Look, if you want to contend, you have to spend. Right? The teams that, bro.
I don't have the bro. I got a boo.
The teams that spend are the ones that win. Yeah. And the reason why we are on cloud nine, the reason why Dodger Stadium is packed to the brim, even when football starts, because their team is still winning baseball games and they're playing for something.
Great point.
When football starts, there's too many empty stadiums, too many empty ballparks around Major League Baseball. And the reason for that is you have rosters compiled with teams that don't spend. So I'm not saying to add a salary cap. Salary floor is not really an answer, but teams need to be more incentivized to hit a bare minimum. I mean, Severino's $67 million being that team's record. Here's something crazy. Like here's something pretty insane. If you look at the A's in their last last 10 years. Okay. The AAV for the Rays the last 10 years for their combined salary is $700 million. So the last 10 years of A's baseball is going to be equivalent to one Soto contract, right? Bruh. So the disparity of wealth in Major League Baseball is kind of the biggest thing. And I also think, too, the golden bat will be pretty awesome.
What it is, dumbass. I think teams then because you can't have a salary floor, teams need to spend a percentage of whatever they made, like that last year. Then that's one way to do it. So the team keeps getting better, and it should perpetually get better. Your team gets better. You bring in more fans makes more money, and you have to invest I don't know, 50, 60, 70% of your revenue into the team, not just into Dick Monfort's pocket or Artie Moreno's pocket. It needs to go into the on-field product. There's your fix. There's your salary floor. We fix baseball here, gang.
There we go, baby.
The boys get back together and we fix baseball. Last one, and then I'm going to let you go. But listen, we should probably do these more frequently so we don't hang out for 2 hours and just talk and then people are watching us talk. So I'm going to have to make you be on the channel more often. But Edwin asked a little while ago, what do I thought you were lifting your shirt for some reason. I saw a knuckle come into my peripheral. What do Clint and Doug want for Christmas? What does DMAC want for Christmas?
Ooh, man. I gotta say a late Christmas present, get Roki Sasaki in January, or something like kind of real, something actually like real, like tangible.
Man, you interpret it as you will. It can be, on the field. It can be, peace on earth. It can be, a Cybertruck if you're weird like that.
Man, it'd probably be. Go buy me that Ohtani baseball for the 50th home run. I'll take that. That'd be nice for the stocking stuffer. But yeah, no. As far I really want, man. I want to retire I want to unretire from the jersey buying game and get the gold outline jersey for Freddie Freeman. The gold edition for the World Series.
A golden 5, huh?
Yeah, number 5. It was such a moment. It's the greatest moment I've ever experienced as a fan, just the exhilaration behind it. So from a Dodgers kind of what can you buy me thing, just give me a little prepaid gift card so I can get that Freddie Freeman gold trim jersey, man. I don't know. That moment to me was just so unbelievable. Like I really watch that at least like 5 times a day at this point, when it used to be like 20 to 25. It's just like, I love the fact that you didn't have to wait for anything. The Gibson home run, I can imagine how agonizing that was to sit through all those pitches. It was boom, step to the plate, Nestor, groove in one, boom, home run, and then that was just such a moment. So
yeah,
I need a number 5 gold edition World Series jersey.
That ain't terrible. Yeah. By the way, I called that shot. By the way, we were waiting to post game. Me, Alana, and our producer Sarah on DT were waiting to post game, and I was like, I don't know. You got bottom of the 10th. Injured Dodger coming to the plate, World Series game 1, and Alana said, "Oh, fuck you, he's not Kirk Gibson," and then crack, and I just start screaming. So I'm calling that a prediction. As for me, what I want for Christmas, what I do.
You say Shohei's about to go deep. Then if he does, you leave it, and if he doesn't, you delete the tweet in seconds after he pops out of Plaza. That's what I have done, and it's worked twice. It worked for his first home run, and it worked for his home run against the Padres. So.
Hey guys, make sure you got to
Infamous
screenshot
tweet
DMAC's tweets early. I'll tell you, he's an elite
I dare you.
deleter.
I dare you to screenshot me. See if you can get it that quick.
He's an elite deleter. I'll tell you that one. By the way, Tina had a fix for $2 super chat as well, but she had a fix that says let teams have 28 players early or all season. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, Chris Taylor barely counts as like a 26 man. So I would say just make it 28 teams because 30 teams are having a hard enough time being good. But my Christmas wish list, there's this real nice Milwaukee half-inch like high torque drill. And I can't put it on my Amazon wish list, but that's what I want. It's like $300 at Home Depot. Somebody get it for me. High torque, half-inch, Milwaukee, 18-volt drill. That's what your boy wants. There it is.
There you go. That's for real.
Hey, Doug, I love the fuck out of you, man. This is a lot of fun. If you're down, I'm always down. Let's do more of these because you're one of the good ones to talk to online, and I think people enjoy you being here and letting loose. They love loosey-goosey DMAC.
Dude, I love you, man. Honestly, I can't thank you enough, man. It really helped me out and learned a lot from you in this business. Talking Dodger baseball, I mean, it's not even a job, with you or whatever, man. We're just, two guys that just love the game, love this team, love this city. And, yeah, man, I always look forward to being on your show, man. And thanks again, man. It's always an awesome time.
Guys, that is Doug McKain. You don't need to know where he's at. You don't need to know anything about him because you already do, but give him a follow, DMAC_LA. Watch his show sometimes, unless it's on at the same time as mine. Then watch mine, and then go watch the replay there. We'd appreciate it. But, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for all the great questions, hanging out in the chat with us all night long. Thank you so damn much for the super chats as well. I want to thank our channel members, the supporters on Patreon and YouTube members for helping us continue to bring you quality content here online. And he's gone. I'll go back to me. If you guys are looking for a different way to support the show, a different way to support independent Dodgers coverage, check it out. Patreon.com/RealFRG or YouTube members. Click that join button. It's $5 a month. You also get access to our Discord server. Patreon.com/RealFRG. I don't know if I threw that out there. But anyways, thank you to the mods for doing a kick-ass job here in the chat, as they always do. All Dodgers is presented by Bet Online. Go use that promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for your first deposit bonus. I am Real FRG on all of the social media platforms. Give me a follow there. Hopefully we earned a thumbs up on the way out. Hopefully we earned a subscribe on the way out. Next stop, 9,000 subs. We appreciate you, and we'll see you on the next one. Okay, bye.